2018 has been one hell of a year for horror movies. While the genre isn't for everyone, there is no other type of movie which can get such a primal, visceral response from audiences. And it seems even other genres are taking a leaf out of the big old spooky book. Fear, of course, is our lizard brain telling us to set up defenses and get ready for a fight. And even when sat in the comfortable safety of a cinema, these 10 scenes manage to get the palms sweating, the heart working overtime, and the panic setting in. Needless to say, nobody would blame you if you felt like pausing each movie after these moments and having a long cat compilation video break before finishing them off. Sometimes Meow Mix is the only thing that can help. So lock your doors and try to keep your head, as I'm Ash from What Culture, and these are the 10 scariest movie moments of 2018. 10. Laurie hunts Michael. Halloween. There are numerous intense set pieces in the recent Halloween reboot, but nothing was quite so hair-raising as the climactic showdown between Michael Myers and fan favourite Laurie Strode. In one long, gut-wrenching sequence, we see Laurie sweep through her house room by room, well aware that Michael is lying in wait somewhere. And to make things worse, there's a bunch of creepy mannequins lying around looking terrifying and human in the corners because, of course there are. David Gordon Green creates unbearable amounts of suspense and anxiety from the hunt, which of course culminates in Michael emerging from the shadows and chucking Laurie over a balcony like an old crisp packet. This allows her to escape, as well as giving fans a crowd-pleasing spin on the iconic lawn scene from the original 1978 movie. Given how thoroughly invested in the outcome audiences were, this was terrifically wrought with a spine-tingling payoff to round off the whole thing. 9. The Torture Rack. Apostle. Gareth Evans' Apostle turned out to be one of 2018's most memorably upsetting Netflix originals, which is a harder and harder feat in recent years. Of course, the claim is evidenced no better than in the nerve-shredding sequence where poor young Jeremy is captured by his dead girlfriend's psychopathic father, Quinn, framed for a murder and placed in a torture device for purification. He really is having the worst day at this point. The 5-minute sequence that follows sees Quinn slowly driving a drill into the back of Jeremy's skull, hollowing out his head and, naturally, killing him. Evans drags the killing out to nauseating lengths, which combined with Quinn's hateful performance and some stomach-churning gore, ensures this will make your blood run ice cold. Seeing that gouged out hole in his head is just plain unpleasant. 8. The pool scene. The strangers pray at night. To be clear, this horror sequel nobody asked for wasn't a particularly good movie, but it did boast a single sequence that ranked among 2018's most anxiety-inducing. Siblings Luke and Kinsey are left to fight for their lives after a gang of masked maniacs murder their parents, leading to Luke battling several of the killers in an enclosed pool area. Wet and wild never got so, well, wild. As Bonnie Tyler's iconic Total Eclipse of the Heart ironically plays out, Luke manages to kill one of the female assailants before facing off against a burlap sack lunatic. The two end up falling into the swimming pool and, after a struggle, the killer stabs Luke repeatedly in the stomach, causing him to bleed out into the pool. Director Johannes Roberts does a wonderful job lingering on Luke's struggle to survive without cutting away. And after an extremely discomforting amount of time, he's finally pulled from the pool by his sister. What a damn shame the rest of the movie wasn't even remotely this brutal or tough to watch. 7. The ending. BlacKkKlansman. Most of the moments on this list deal with works of fiction. They may be fiction with one foot or at least a toe in the world of reality, or they may be completely beyond the realms of possibility. Whatever it is, they're not real. It's that fact that makes what comes at the end of BlacKkKlansman such a visceral, shocking, and downright scary moment. After 2 hours showing us how people can be so complacent with regards to racism, how it can be the smiling neighbour next door, for example, we then see the other side. The ugly face rears its head in footage ripped straight from the "oh my god, that actually happened" news. The footage taken from the white supremacist rally in Virginia from 2017 and subsequent equally horrific events, along with speeches made in the aftermath from David Duke and Donald Trump, is designed to provoke a response. And it certainly achieves that. It's a moment that peers right into the heart of racism in the United States, and what it finds there is twisted in a way fiction could never be. 6. OLGA gets contorted. Suspiria. The divisive remake of Dario Argento's horror classic is a heck of a movie, and of course, if it's here, there's a whole load to be repulsed and mortified by. By far, the most memorably upsetting scene in the film takes place fairly soon after Susie has joined the Marcos Dance Academy. After enraged Soviet student Olga decides to leave the troupe, she finds herself trapped in a reflective room, just as Susie is invited to perform a dance in another one. Susie's dance becomes increasingly aggressive and primal, and this is intercut with Olga's body being contorted into positions no body should ever be contorted. Her bones break and her organs squelch, while Susie taps into her inner savage, after which the Academy's matrons dig some meat hooks into Olga's barely living carcass and carry her off to God knows where. It sets a wonderfully horrific tone from Act 1, and both the makeup effects and pin-sharp editing are absolutely spectacular. 5. Pregnant bullying. Climax. Climax is divided into two pretty distinct halves. A relatively normal party where a dance group air their grievances and get to know each other over endless cups of sangria, and a descent into hell after everyone realises that said sangria has been spiked with a potent form of LSD. Consequently, when one of the characters announces a secret pregnancy minutes before the drug starts to kick in, you just know that information is going to be abused by a bunch of horrible people off their nuts. Paranoia and hysteria quickly sets in once everyone realises that they've been drugged, with the suspicion landing firmly on this one character who wasn't drinking because of her pregnancy. As threats grow into full-blown violence, she's kicked in the stomach, immediately doubling over with panic visible on her face that she might have lost her baby. It even continues in terrible fashion, making for one of the most upsetting cinematic moments and scariest portrayals of humanity on screen. 4. Mandy laughs. Mandy. Mandy isn't just Nicolas Cage's best film in years, it's also one of 2018's most haunting, provocative, and intensely disturbing offerings. It's just downright beautiful and spooky. Though Red's battle against a drug-addled biker gang is increasingly played for kitschy laughs in the glorious second half, the first hour or so is packed with genuinely tense and queasily surreal sequences. The most unnerving scene occurs after Red's girlfriend Mandy is kidnapped, drugged, and introduced to cult leader Jeremiah Sand. He plays psychedelic music to make her even more suggestible and insists that the two need to be special together, before whipping out his pork sword and waiting for Mandy to have at it. Except things don't quite go as Jeremiah planned, and a blitzed out of her mind Mandy simply laughs hysterically in his face as though possessed by hellspawn. Combining the relentless ferocity of her performance with some extremely off-putting neon-tinged visuals and a synthesized demonic tenor added to her laugh, and this is absolutely not a scene that feels in any way pleasant. 3. The Nail, A Quiet Place. John Krasinski's post-apocalyptic horror hit is peppered with moments designed to take your breath away and get your heart pounding. Yet nothing hits the gut, or should I say the foot, quite like the iconic nail scene. While alone in the house, a pregnant Evelyn goes into labour and heads down into the basement in order to make preparations. However, her bare foot steps onto an exposed nail, and though she stifles her scream, she ends up dropping a picture frame, which lets out a loud smash as it hits the floor, alerting the alien creatures to her presence. Oh no. In one of the year's most masterfully taught scenes from any horror movie, Evelyn sets off an SOS signal and desperately attempts to distract the creature long enough to escape upstairs. But of course, her fight is only just beginning, as she's ultimately forced to give birth in a bathtub, drowned out by some fireworks deployed by her husband, and then keep said just born and very aggy baby quiet and continue battling the creatures, eventually as a single parent no less. This movie is stressful, and nothing left audiences gasping more than that damn upturned nail. Hammer in that stuff! 2. The Screaming Bear, Annihilation. Alex Garland's sci-fi horror masterpiece served up strong characters, awesome visuals, and philosophical food for thought in great abundance. It was also one of the most oppressively atmospheric and disturbing movies of 2018, as cemented by the instantly iconic mutated bear sequence. After scientist Cassie is mauled to death by what's presumed to be a regular bear, the animal reappears just as a paranoid Anya has tied up and started to interrogate her colleagues. Cassie's terrified cries are inexplicably heard outside the building, and before long, the mutated bear thing enters the room. When it opens its mouth, it vocalizes Cassie's dying screams, presumably a result of their DNA being somehow fused together by the extraterrestrial force known as the Shimmer. I don't know, but it's pretty horrible. The horror is just getting started though, as Anya then has her jaw torn off after attacking the creature, and it takes a pelt of machine gun fire from Josie to stop the beast from also killing Lena. Flawlessly executed in every way, this is one of those rare scenes that will certifiably f you up a bit after watching. 1. Charlie loses her head. Hereditary. No single scene has evoked as much soul-rattling fear as Charlie's surprise death in Hereditary. After she goes into anaphylactic shock at a party, her brother Peter desperately drives her to the hospital. But as she sticks her head out the car window for air, he swerves to avoid an animal, slamming Charlie's head into a telephone pole. Rather than simply cut to the aftermath of the accident, director Ari Aster masterfully stays with Peter as he drives home in a state of shock. Only when their mother Annie lets out wailing screams of anguish the next morning does Aster cut back to the road, where poor Charlie's decapitated head is being devoured by ants. A note-perfect sequence directed and acted for maximum heartbreak and disgust, this is a rare example of horror that's both intensely scary and extremely upsetting. Colette's bereaved cries are especially haunting, to say nothing of that revolting severed head prosthetic. Anyone who saw this surely didn't shake the site for weeks. And that's our list. What scene most scared you in this year's releases? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. I've been Ash and this has been What Culture. Make sure to subscribe to the What Culture YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. Thanks for watching.